Hey guys, I'll see you guys tonight at 9 p.m. for Fallout Equestria Dead Tree, and I'll see you Sunday at 3 p.m. all Eastern Standard Time for Warhammer 40k RPG. In addition to this, I have a book coming out. It's linked in the description below. Go check it out. See you there, and in the meantime, on with the review. Hello everyone. So this video is not is a critique. This is to illustrate the problem. So we're going to start here with the Adeptus Mechanicus fleet roster. This is a fleet. They get 2 additional escorts over the Imperial fleet, but other than that, hey, where's the battle cruisers? Why do you have 1 battleship? This is supposed to be a fleet. Seriously, TDLOs, this is not acceptable. Yes, they have a small variety of weapons, but it's nothing that the Imperial Navy doesn't have. And then we get into the problem with the Adeptus Astartes, which is they are facelifted from Battlefleet Gothic 1 with 0 modifications, no new ships, and have a smaller fleet than the Adeptus Mechanicus. Come on! These things are not... These two... they could be one faction by themselves called the Imperial Alternative. Much less the fact you've put them in 2 separate factions, and worst off, neither of them work. Even the Eldar, Dark Eldar, have larger fleet selections than they do. All the Eldar actually have larger fleet selections than they do. And they're known to have very few ships. Except, of course, the regular Eldar, because you split them into 3 separate fleets, which is just weird, since they all operate the exact same way. Orcs have a ton, and then we get into the Necrons. This is supposed to be a brand new, amazing, this is why you're buying the... Are you serious? Are you for real? A total of 8 ships. 8. Not even multiple cruisers. Just 8 ships. Even every other faction has like a massive fleet. Even the Tau merchant fleet is 4 battleships and 3 cruisers and 2 light cruisers and 4 escorts. And every one of their battleships is drastically different. The Tau warrior cast. 3 battleships, 3 cruisers, 3 light... the Tau literally feel like they are the minimum acceptable fleet size for any fleet. You really need to put some more ships in this game for the factions that basically have nothing. Especially when the Necrons have an entire campaign. They have an entire campaign devoted to them. And they have 8 ships. And this straight up lifting the Space Marine fleet from Battlefleet Gothic 1 with no modifications, which makes them by far the worst faction I played during this beta. The absolute worst. Their battleships are obscenely expensive for no justifiable reason. None. There's no reason why their battleships are 450 and nearly 500 points. And all of their ships are limited to an extreme to 1 basic role. Getting close and board. And later in this video, well, I'm going to explain why boarding's a bad thing. But as you can see, I'm trying to put together a Space Marine fleet without using the half of my fleet cost battleship. Because those cost half my fleet. Per 1. You can literally bring a Space Marine fleet that's just 2 battleships and you've taken up 945 of your 1,200 points. You actually, in a 2v2 situation, cannot practically deploy a Space Marine battleship because you only get 600 points, and therefore if you deploy a Space Marine battleship, you can... A Battle Barge Mark 1 can exactly fit on the field with a Vanguard Mark 1 light cruiser, and that is exactly 600 points. You get 2 ships at 600 points if you elect to take a battleship. Now, I'm trying to figure out the absolute maximum number of ships I can take for Space Marines, and it turns out that number is 11. With no battleships, I can fit 11 vessels into my fleet. Okay. Unless there's something hiding behind level 7, 9, 8, and 10, all of their abilities are very, very similar to stuff I would get from the Imperial Navy. I don't appear to have any other abilities that I should be aware of, and if that's not the case, then somebody let me know what their 7, 8, 9, and 10 unlocks are. I really feel like that's kind of a big detriment to multiplayer, is that instead of upgrading individual ships, we're getting fleet upgrades that we can only take 2 of. So I'm going to put them against the Imperial Navy at the exact number of points I spent, 1195. And since the Imperial Navy is used as the baseline, therefore we're now putting this up against the baseline enemy fleet. Now, I'm going to have another video to discuss why boarding in this game is actually now the most ineffective tactic you can utilize, whereas in the previous game, boarding was scary. I love the fact you can knock out a ship just outright with boarding. That's great. The scuttle mechanic, however, oh boy, what it does to boarding actions. What it does to boarding actions. It just ain't right. Also, I'm beginning to think that the AI is not increased on higher difficulties, but instead is just given more points to play with. So I'm worried that that's going to be the case in the campaign, where if I put the campaign on a harder difficulty, I don't get a harder AI. The AI just gets more ships. You can see why that would bother like 80% of players.
We stand ready.
So the biggest thing I'm noticing with the Space Marine ships in the new game is the fact that they, as a fleet, don't have a lot of hit points on their ships. Their ships are very thin-skinned once they start taking damage.
Show us the enemy.
It seems like they have the same amount of hit points everybody else does. It's great. But they don't, because, like, my strike cruiser here, which is the largest ship I can get that's not a battleship, seems to have a lot fewer health bars than an Imperial Navy cruiser. On top of the fact that I have to rely mostly on boarding as the method in which I win the battle. And I don't feel that it's entirely fair for Space Marines, because that's really, truly their only tactic. Is boarding.
The enemy has seized a strategic
Now we are
area.
approaching the point at which the battle is going to commence, and
where we are needed.
Like, these are the fleets, the Space Marines, the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the Necron fleet are the fleets I feel really are going to need some great major improvements, both in terms of ship selection and in terms of tactics,
Enemy in sight.
to truly be viable against the other fleets. And as you can see, my escort just, like, died. And just straight up.
Damage at critical levels.
I tried to use her in ramming action, she's done.
Craft destroyed.
And now we're going to see part of the problem with boarding. I'm launching boarding torpedoes at will. I'm using Honor in the Chapter to launch free boarding actions. I'm trying to take this cruiser out right now. Engines are down. Awesome, my own torpedoes are going to hit my own ship, but thankfully they're boarding torpedoes, so they don't inflict any damage. Oh yeah, now my torpedoes are offline. Critically hit. Great. Joy. Joy fills me.
Beginning tactical assessment.
So as you can see, This ship, this light cruiser,
The enemy has seized
has as
strategic
many hit
area.
points as my strike cruiser. Costs 60 points less. Same amount of HP, 60 points less. And she's now a drifting Hulk. Okay, that ship is dead. I have earned the right to declare that one dead. Awesome.
Show us the enemy.
My fleet's been hit by a disruptor bomb. Wonderful. Now I have to get away from the drifting Hulk. I did all that effort to get in there and board her, and now I've got to get as far away from her as possible.
Show us the enemy.
And as you can see, they have a second battleship. I'm probably going to lose this. Like, I'm not even going to lie. And I get hit with another void bomb. So that's kind of my fault. Wasn't, you know, super micromanagement heavy and not having my micro 100%. That's totally on me. But now we run into the problem of the Space Marines' utter lack of firepower.
Stand ready.
Half of my fleet had their guns on that Retribution class battleship. Half of my fleet. Also, did everybody just see that? Everybody just see that thing's guns pass through the drifting Hulk? Everybody saw that, right?
Where shall we strike?
Now I'm going to have basically my entire fleet's guns on this one ship.
The enemy has
This
seized
one vessel
strategic area.
is getting basically my entire fleet at it. And it's proving to be mostly ineffective.
At your command.
Yeah, she's starting to whittle down, but I'm losing ships. And we take that drifting Hulk back out. And I have another video to illustrate boarding and the issue with boarding, and it involves the Tyranids, because the Tyranids are actually a decent fleet. But at this point in time, I'm down half my fleet.
Full speed.
We've drifting hulked one enemy warship. It was a bad idea to not bring a battleship, apparently.
Boarding successful.
Man alive, am I having to... Whoops, that was just an AI whoops. That wasn't even a purposeful ram. That was just the AI going, whoops, I forgot how to turn. And now we're left with just having to beat on this battleship. And as you can clearly see, I am getting just wrecked. I'm down to 2 cruisers, 1 strike cruiser, and 2 escorts. My fleet has been annihilated
Enemy in
by what amounts to 1 light cruiser, 1 heavy cruiser, and 1 battleship.
Where shall we strike?
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic
Space Marine
areas.
numbers don't work. Clearly.
All power to engines.
And furthermore, the sheer amount of hit points that an Imperial cruiser, which is the standard, has over a Space Marine cruiser is starting to really show.
Damage
This
at critical levels.
Lunar class cruiser is just kicking out ass.
Underway.
Without a doubt.
The enemy is
I'm having to put all of this effort into
strategic
boarding it,
areas. The
and it's
enemy
just
has seized a
because that's what I
strategic
do.
area.
That's what this fleet is designed for, is boarding actions, right? Because it ain't got the firepower.
Bulkheads collapsing. Where shall we strike? Successful teleport strike.
Now I might
Setting priority target.
get her. I need to fire the guns, and she's dead, and so am I. There's my last strike cruiser because it's already got an incoming volley from the enemy ship, and it should be deleted from my roster in a second now. That's the battle. He's got a whole nother battleship
They died well.
that I
The
need to
enemy
kill.
has accumulated 50% of strategic points. The enemy has seized a strategic
Awesome. We got a
area.
mutiny. The ship is ineffective. It can't execute to get back in the fight.
Full speed.
I'm out of boarding torpedoes on this ship. My primary action, boarding torpedoes, is out of ammunition.
Feel our might. Moving to
And
position.
I'm desperately just trying to find something to get behind this cover because
All power to
the
engine.
position I'm in right now just sucks. Fuck it, ram it, kill it.
Strategic point.
I like that I get 0 troops lost on a ram, but I don't like the fact that I just watched a light cruiser after the ram go from a quarter health to exploding. And now I'm all I'm left is this one escort. I mean, this is a devastating loss. Without any stat updates, without any real modifications, and with no new vessels, the Space Marine fleet is the weakest fleet in the game. The Adeptus Mechanicus has a couple of abilities that'll throw you for a loop, and they still have the solid foundation that is the Imperial Navy as their basis. The Space Marines don't have that. Orcs and Tyranids are better at boarding than the Space Marines. This fleet, this entire fleet, the way it is made and designed and developed is terrible. Because it's literally facelisted from Battlefleet Gothic 1 with no updates to its fleet, its roster, its stats, its capabilities, nothing. And then Battlefleet Gothic 2's rules are applied to it, which is not fair. It's not fair. Because the previous game, every other fleet had updates, had new ships, had changes to the stats of the ships. When I go back and compare Battlefleet Gothic 1 with Battlefleet Gothic 2, there's changes. Space Marines don't have that. So, Tidulos, get to work. Space Marines need a couple more ships. Something to bridge the gap between Battleship and Strike Cruiser. And they really, really need their point cost lowered because this is insane. 500 points for a battle barge? You're kidding, right? So, here's the previous Battlefleet Gothic video for you guys. It's the first impressions. And here is the new something. Probably Adeptus Mechanicus or Azure Lane or a review or some sort. So, take a look. I will see you guys tomorrow for more Battlefleet Gothic stuff. And I will see you guys sometime later this week. Videos in production. You know what it is. Anyway, slap the like button. Seriously, slap it, slap it, slap it, slap it, slap it, slap it. I did. Anyway, see you guys then.